Hello, welcome to Finance Sister. My name is Anna, and this is my YouTube channel where we talk about everything related to money and having a balanced lifestyle. So please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get more notifications on when videos are posted. In this video, I wanted to tell you how and why me and my husband were able to live off of 30 to 40% of our income so that we could pay off debt really fast. Which is so crazy to be living off of that percentage of your income, especially since for the majority of the time that we've been paying off debt, it hasn't been with both of us working full time. Alright, I just want to start out with saying that living on less does not mean that you have to completely cut out all things fun or deciding on what you want to eat or what you want to do. It doesn't mean that you're completely cutting out everything, but it does mean that you are minimizing how much time and money you're spending towards those things. And effectively, it ends up making it feel like when you do end up being able to buy certain things or go out to eat more often, it's so much more appreciated and way more exciting when it actually does happen. So first I want to share with you some percentages of our income that made it to where we could actually financially do this, and then some benefits of how doing this has really launched us into being able to reach some financial goals much quicker, and how we really haven't missed anything along the way. So this number includes housing, like basic necessity things. So housing, food, groceries, personal fund, like very, very minimal personal funds, transportation, gas and fuel, car maintenance, insurance, and then a little bit of money for clothing and haircuts, stuff like that. So 30 to 40%, basically, I'm going to show you a little diagram here and then contrast in terms of how much we actually spent. But here's the national averages for what most financial people say you should spend on each category for housing, food, lifestyle, gas, transportation, things like that. So for us, it was approximately 5 to 10% of our take-home income was put towards housing. So we spent anywhere between $300 to $750 for everything included in our housing costs over the last approximately 2 years. And that was a big way that we could afford to pay off a ton of debt, because housing is one of your biggest expenses. So right there, if you're on the low end and you're spending around 25% of your income on housing, then we were actually spending closer to 5% the whole time. So that was 20% right there that we were able to throw towards debt on top of the excess that we had. And for food, we had to be realistic with ourselves so that this would be sustainable, so that we could finish paying off debt. So although we were really intentional with our spending, like groceries, we tried to stay around $250 to $300 a month for groceries. But then we also did budget in a little bit for eating out. So we kept that separate so we would know exactly how much we were spending on eating out versus actual groceries that we made at home. So we did happy hours, stuff like that, to help keep us going, keep us motivated, and not like super cranky. During this time, we also didn't save really anything towards vacations. We did very minimal vacations, maybe a long road trip on a weekend, or a camping trip that was less than a couple $100 for the whole weekend, including gas to get there. We did go to New York and New Jersey for a wedding for a weekend, and that was like $1,500, $2,000, something like that. But that's when we were both working full time and a couple months in when we were not really aggressively paying off debt. And another huge item that we were able to save on was going down to one car. So for the majority of our marriage, we have actually had one car. And that has been a big reason why we have been able to save or put towards debt so much money, is because we didn't have any car payment. We had one car, so that's insurance for one car and gas for one car. Since I work from home, it worked out really, really well. I understand that's not always an option for everyone, depending on where you live, what your family situation is like. But for us, that was another big way on top of housing to where we could cut out at least 5% of our income going towards gas, fuel, car maintenance, and insurance. Other small things that really add up that we just totally decided to cut out was that we didn't have a TV we haven't paid for cable or Wi-Fi, anything like that, for over a year. And we didn't do subscriptions up until the last few months. So we were paying next to maybe like $15 a month on subscriptions. We didn't have cable, we didn't have TV, period. So our time was just spent doing things that were not in front of a screen, which is what we honestly prefer doing, even though, don't get me wrong, we had Netflix and things like that on my laptop that we were able to watch, and Netflix was something that we watched on someone else's subscription, so that we weren't actually paying for it. Some of the benefits of living off of 30 to 40% of our income has been that we are so intentional with what we do choose to spend money on, but we still gave ourselves a little bit so that we were able to splurge on getting a cup of coffee or buying each other a candy bar or something at Wendy's, those things that seem so minimal and just seems like it's something that you wouldn't think twice about. We really thought twice about it, and it made it so much more meaningful when we were able to go spend something or go out or buy each other something special from our own personal money, or go buy a t-shirt. I think I bought maybe five to 10 new things over the span of like 2 years in terms of clothing for myself. And it just made it so much more special and meaningful because we really thought about what we wanted to buy before we bought it. And obviously the big motivator for us was that we had much bigger financial goals than having lots of things throughout the last couple years or going on more lavish vacations. We wanted to be able to be clear of debt before we started a family, which we are expecting our first baby in June. So I'm almost 6 months along. And so being able to get into a place financially where we are able to enjoy having a baby, not being financially stressed, those things were way more important to us than having more clothes or more new things. Because we did sacrifice for the last 2.5 years, we do have a substantial amount of money that we can put towards other financial goals and getting ourselves into a place where we have more financial freedom and more time, and that's what's really valuable to us. So a couple of the big ways that you can start looking at paying off debt faster or saving faster is by living off of less of your income, which means that you either need to start increasing your income, whether that's taking on a second job or getting yourself into a place career-wise where you have opportunities to grow, get promotions, and increase your pay scale. So that was a big thing that happened for my husband along the way, because we were trying to set it up to where I would be able to stay at home and also work part-time remotely, which is currently what I do, and that his income would essentially cover what I made. So we are effectively making the same amount of money, even though I work much less than I did. Just because we decided that he should go back to grad school, that in terms of long-term effect would pay off in terms of increasing his income, having more job opportunities and promotions. Another thing is to decrease your expenses, obviously, which is a big part of what we did. So we did both. And I don't think that it's completely sustainable to work a bunch of hours and keep doing that kind of life rhythm. But for a temporary time, in order to reach a financial goal, I think that it can be worth it to make certain sacrifices. But if it's not worth it to take on extra jobs, stuff like that, which we really didn't do a whole lot of, then I would say prioritize selling things, not spending frivolously on things that you're really not going to miss. So just being intentional about having a plan, sticking to your budget, and increasing your income where possible, but really just managing your money well and paying attention to what you're spending. If you want to hear more about our story in terms of how we paid off $67,000 worth of debt in 15 months, and we had about an 18-month pause in between that for my husband finishing grad school, then check out this video and I'll link it below as well.